MixedTV.tv presents the Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee Football Spotlights presented by Life Care Centers of America. Join us as we look at the upcoming 2022 season and share in-depth interviews with coaches and players.
Welcome to our Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee Football Spotlights, sponsored by Life Care Centers of America. Our first spotlight will be Silverdale Baptist Academy's football team. Silverdale athletics are driven by Mountain View Nissan. Jumping right in, last season Silverdale went 9-3, making the playoffs and losing in the second round to eventual state champions Lipscomb Academy. But before we hop into this season and talk to head coach Mike Connor, we're going to run through some history about Silverdale Baptist Academy. Their first season was in 2005, so they're coming up on their 18th season in school history. All time, they have an 88-93 record, which gives them a 49% winning percentage. They've never won a state title, and they have never advanced past the third round of the playoffs. All time in district and region play, they are 29-57, and they're looking for their 7th winning season this year. We mentioned they did go to the playoffs. They went 1-1 in the playoffs, winning in the first round and losing in the second round. That was their 8th playoff appearance. They are 4-8 all time in the playoffs. Last season, it was a big offensive season for Silverdale, led by Connor DeLashmuth, the running back, who's surpassed over 6,000 all-purpose yards for Silverdale Baptist Academy. Also, Turner Junkins at wide receiver and Brett Rogers at quarterback made that offense click. DeLashmuth is a senior who has graduated and is going on to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, but Rogers and Junkins still remain on this loaded offense. Last season, they scored their second most points in school history, scoring 420 points. They opened last season with a 6-game win streak, which is their longest win streak since they won 9 in a row in 2013. Last season, believe it or not, was their first 9-win season ever in school history. They had one season where they won 10 and one where they won 11. Last season were their most district wins in school history, as they went 4-2 in district play. Also, last season I mentioned, they made it to the second round of the playoffs for the 3rd time ever. They are under head coach Mike Connor, who you will hear from later. He is starting his 3rd season. He has a 14-9 record overall. Moving on into their schedule for the upcoming season, they will open against East Ridge, who they beat last year, and they are 1-2 all time against East Ridge. They'll follow that by traveling to Franklin Road Academy, who they beat last year in their first ever meeting against that school. They will then travel to CCS, who they shockingly upset last year to begin their season with, and they are 4-7 all time against CCS. Then they will host Lakeway Christian Academy for the first meeting ever between these two schools. They'll follow that up by playing their rivals Boyd Buchanan at home. They took a win against Boyd Buchanan in a thriller last year. They are 3-10 all time against Boyd. Then they will travel to state champions Donaldson Christian Academy, who they did beat in the regular season last year for their first ever win against that school. They are 1-2 all time. They will also travel to Notre Dame the week after that, who they took a win from last year and are one of the only schools that Silverdale has a winning record against, as they are 3-2 against them. They'll follow that up by hosting Webb, who Silverdale has never beat and was one of their 3 losses last year. Then they will have a bye week, a very late bye week in the season coming on October 14th before they travel to Grace Christian Academy, who they beat last year for their first win against them ever. They are 1-6 all time, and they will close out their season on October 28th hosting the Christian Academy of Knoxville, CAK, who they lost to last year and are 1-4 all time. A lot of buzz around Silverdale. They had a great season last year, high-scoring offense. Head coach Mike Connor has Silverdale doing all the right things, and we are going to send it over to Silverdale to speak with him about his team's success and how they're preparing for this season. We are here at Silverdale Baptist Academy, joined by head football coach Mike Connor. Coach, jumping right in, last season, the school's winningest season since 2013, and your winningest season here. What does a season like that do for just the culture of this program?
Well, it brings in a new norm. So, for so long, especially all the kids that were in the program up until last year, they've never experienced that. And so, 9-3, the reason we were 9-3 is because we had 9-3 behavior. So we basically set a standard for a new normal. And so now the challenge is turning the page and saying, okay, 9-3, those behaviors got us that. We want to be better than that. So we got to change our behaviors even more.
So talking about some of those guys that have come through this program, Connor DeLashment, among some of the other seniors you lost last year, 5,000 all-purpose yards in his career. What does a player like that do for a program like this through his 4 years here?
Yeah, he is actually over 6,000 all-purpose yards. Look, Connor, Clay Connor, Cam Mullins, as well as Turner Junkins. Turner's still with us, but probably won't play as much on offense. That was about 85% of our offense. And so that's the impact that those guys, those seniors that we graduated had on our team. So there's a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah. So you talk about some of those holes. Who are some players you're looking at or we should expect to step up and be playmakers this year for you guys?
Yeah, I think Cam Bowen, he'll play the wide out. He's gonna, he has the opportunity to have a phenomenal year. A couple of rising juniors and Nate Hampton, Caleb Greco. Those guys have opportunities to shine. Brett Rogers is returning. He was the first-year starter last year, had a phenomenal season. Brett Rogers will not be a surprise for everybody.
Yeah.
And so he's got to deal with the expectation of everybody knows about Brett Rogers. Yeah. And so, our offensive line's returning. They're all starters, 2-year starters, so a lot of strength up front. But they don't have Connor DeLashment.
Yeah.
DeLashment made them right a lot. Yeah. And so those are guys who are going to have the opportunity to step up in ways and add value to our team that they didn't in the past.
So you're talking about the expectations Brett has this year, but it feels like last year as a team you kind of came in as the underdogs. But now you talk about that 9-3 culture. How is this squad dealing with the outside expectations of, hey, we got to go and do better than we did last year?
Well, that's the challenge. We live in a culture holistically, when you talk about the culture that we live in, that just would rather be average. Yeah. And they don't want to push themselves, and so that's the fight. Do we want to be what we describe as the top 10, or are we just going to be satisfied? And so it is a struggle. It's a struggle for us every day. It's a struggle for our individual players, and obviously it's a struggle for our corporate team. So, but in the long run, it's just a decision. Yeah. I'm just not going to settle for less than my best.
So we were talking earlier how we're not far from after dead period. We're still early in the summer, but how do you feel like the preparation has been for this upcoming season so far?
Well, this year, in terms of our evaluation, what we thought we needed to do and to continue to improve, we've been able to hire a full staff for the first time since I've been here. That's going to add value in terms of development of our players. That should help us with depth. So those our strength program, we got that new facility. We're in it. We've been in it for a year. All those things should factor in to us being, better than we were last year.
So lastly, talking about being better than you were last year, what are your expectations for this team as a whole this year?
That's a trick question, really. My expectation is that we come out and we play at each of our players have embraced the idea that they're going to be the best version of themselves. And if we can do that corporately and get everybody in alignment, we have a chance to repeat and even improve on what we did last year. So that's my expectation.
Well, thank you, Coach. This has been Mike Connor, head coach here at Silverdale Baptist Academy. Now we're going to send it back to the station. That concludes our first of our Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee football spotlights presented by Life Care Centers of America. We mentioned the Silverdale Baptist Academy Seahawks will take on East Ridge in Week 1. That game takes place August 19th at Silverdale with a 7 o'clock kickoff. Just a reminder that Silverdale athletics are driven by Mountain View Nissan, and we want to wish the best of luck to all our schools. And a reminder that Mix 1041 and Mix TV, they are your Southeast Tennessee football headquarters, and we will see you next time for our next spotlight.